Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with Green, White, Black Maverick. This is a list that I'm playing in paper. A few other streamers have played it. FP Pauls was playing it this morning and I believe went 4-1 with it, which is really nice. Also went 4-1 with Punishing Maverick, which is pretty sweet, so that's pretty awesome. This, of course, is probably my favorite style of Maverick, playing the Black Splash for cards like Plague Engineer. Kaya as well. Let me quickly get this up. That's a bit big. Nice. So Kaya has been one of the cards that I've really liked so far. Connor, aka Lomba Boy, played it in Loam for a while. I think he's still playing it and enjoying it. And I thought it fit really well into Maverick. And it has, which is great. So it's 3-mana Walker. We can get it out as early as turn 2. It affects the board straight away on most boards that you want it. If not, it's affecting the graveyard, which is great. And the ulti isn't too hard to get. We have done it a few times and it's been really cool, but it's essentially there for a few tick downs and a few tick ups. Plague Engineer is really nice, of course, against the FedEx. It's also pretty nice against things like Iceman Quaddle and Baleful Strix, just kind of clearing the way to make sure you can actually attack with your creatures and not lose them to a pretty invaluable trade. And then Abrupt Decay is there for Oko, equipment, creatures, really anything that's in the way that we can't deal with otherwise. Usually Qasali Primage does this, and then with the help of Source to Plowshares, but I think Decay is just really good removal right now. It's really nice to have uncounterable removal for Delver, because Delver fast starts can be pretty scary, so Decay does a lot of work on this board. The rest of the deck is pretty straightforward. I have taken out the Blast Zone. I have had some issues with the Blast Zone and added in a 4th Jewel, being a 2nd Bayou. I went for a 2nd Bayou over a Savannah because I wanted the extra black source. So we'll see how that goes, but it should perform pretty well. It has in the past. DW Donut, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in. And then just the consistency plan. So Green Suns, Knight, Sylvan Library is really nice. I do still like the 2 Sylvan Libraries. Usually, if you get the first one, you don't get the second because you can just shuffle it away. So having the second library is really nice for consistency as well, and just making sure that we see what we want straight up. Yeah, another Peatland's really interesting as well. I guess my only consideration for Bayou over Peatland is that you can fetch for a Bayou off a Verdant, but you can't get a Peatland. You can also sack this tonight and use it with Scrib Ranger, but you can't a Peatland. But I will say that the second ability to actually draw a card is pretty nice. So I know a lot of decks have toyed around with 1 Nurturing Peatland, 1 Horizon Canopy. So there could definitely be a build that's correct with 2 sack lands, which is kind of nice, especially in the grindy games where you do want to try to turn those into spells in the late game, when it kind of helps you mana in the early game, and then you can just kind of palm it off to the side. The Green Suns package is pretty similar and pretty stock. We have dropped Gaddock Teague. I can't drop it from the whole 75. I just can't. But it's there. Collector Oof does pretty much the same job against the decks where you want Teague, where you're turning off things like LED. You got the accessibility of turning off Vile. Collector Oof just an all-round really good card in a lot of matchups, whereas Gaddock Teague is just a nice bullet for some. So an example is Collector Oof is also really good against Death and Taxes, where Gaddock Teague is probably one of the first cards you side out. So Collector Oof is just a little bit wider with the decks it hits, and because we're not playing a Stoneforge Mystic deck ourselves, it doesn't actually hit us outside of Soul Guide Lantern in the sideboard. Deafening Silence has been my favorite hate card so far. It's kind of taking the spot of Canonist and Thoughtseize against combo for me. It's really nice against Reanimator, any sort of Dark Ritual deck. It just turns off Dark Ritual, which is nice. It also means if you want to do something in response to their first spell, it's going to resolve. So against Infect, Deafening Silence is really nice because in response to any pump spell, you can Swords to Plowshares it, and then of course they can't cast another, hexproof spell or counter magic, which is nice. I've gone up to 4 pieces of Graveyard Hate. I don't think you need 4. I think 3 is fine, but I want to see how Bog and Soul Guide Lantern go. I think it's going to be one of the 2. I was running Tormont's Crypt because I do like that it's free against Chancellor decks. And it also allows us to play on curve, so you can still play a turn 1 Hierarch and a Tormont's Crypt, or a turn 1 Mother of Runes and a Tormont's Crypt, which is really nice. But I think just with Legacy going towards the value game, having a piece of interaction that can just be traded for a card later on is really good. So, you know, against some matchups, you might just play the Soul Guide Lantern, exile Griselbrand or Uro, and then that's really all you need it for. So you can then just sack it for a land later on because you've just kind of stalled the game to actually create a board state that's good enough. So Soul Guide Lantern seems pretty sweet. Choke I've been off for a while, but I do like Choke again. There's a few Rug Delver decks around that they can beat Choke, but it's pretty tough. So Choke's pretty nice. Although there's a lot of Snow decks as well that rely on multiple basics and can get blue mana from Astrolabe. With Collector Oof and Kaya going after Astrolabes, it can be a bit tough for them. So Choke, I think, is actually quite nice. They probably don't expect it as much as well, so that's going to be pretty interesting. Knight's just kind of the Swiss Army knife in the sideboard. I think it's a flex slot that could be changed. Probably this and Teague to something else. But I'm not too sure what they are now. I do like the Force of Vigors, especially the free ones. Also the ability to, if you are pitching a card, you can still 2 for 2 your opponent, which is nice. So Force of Vigor, I think, is really good right now against some of the lands decks. Hitting something like an Exploration, a Mox Diamond, a Sylvan Library can be pretty strong. And against some of the fair decks, hitting like, you know, a Vial and a Jide or a Evoker, naming Noble Hierarch or something is pretty sweet. Vrask is here mainly for the Oko decks, but also just for the grindy matchups. Vrask is really nice against Oko because I really like that it actually sticks around after you deal with it. You're not sort of trading one card for one card because typically Oko players are getting value straight away. So I don't want to be abrupt decaying an Oko. I want to be destroying it with Vraska and then hopefully getting more value out of Vraska as the game goes on. Kaya, just so good I want a second version. That's pretty much it. It's just really good. And to be fair, with the tick up in Graveyard Hate through Kaya, I probably don't need these full 4 again. But I don't want to cut one just yet. I want to see how Bog and Soul Guide go. 2 pretty different cards. Bog great in the mid game once you get Knight online and can do it at instant speed. But Soul Guide Lantern great for the early game just to make sure that you're not losing to like a turn to Griselbrand or something else. So we'll see how this goes. This should be pretty fun. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in. Let's get straight into it and see how it goes. We are playing a Legacy League with play points with Maverick, and we're finding a game. Very cool. Nice. If you're from Brisbane as well, I actually have a giveaway in the Brisbane Magic Players group that I will be pulling out a winner in between my second and third game. So if you have a chance between now and then to enter it, definitely do. It's for a Brawl deck. Chillane. So a huge thank you to Nick and the guys at MTG Mate who sponsored the channel and yeah, gave me this Brawl deck to give away, which is very cool. All right. Here's our match. Big butter. We're on the play, which is nice. And this hand isn't too bad. It kind of relies on this Green Suns, but I'm pretty happy to just go Savannah into Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. The only issue with that is if we don't draw into a land, we're not really doing anything with the Dryad Arbor other than just casting a Mother of Runes. Or with that turn, sorry. It's kind of nice because it's got some nice cards for some fair matchups. Kaya and Knight are okay for some of the unfair matchups through Karakas. But the more I think about keeping it, the more I don't want to. I think just because of how much it relies on us drawing a land next turn. This is better. I'll keep this. I'm going to keep this and bottom this Savannah. And I'm going to lead on birds because best case we draw into a 3-drop turn 2. Worst case is that we just play the Mum and the Scavenging Ooze turn 2. Alright. I could get a Bayou, but I think because we got the bird, I don't mind just kind of hiding that we're on black for as long as possible. Hey, Sleep Talk, a huge thank you for the 14 months. That is very cool. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Hope all is doing well on your end. Hope you're doing well in ISO as well. It's definitely coming up. It's coming up to 2 months now that I've been working at home at least, so that's pretty nuts. So Preordain is interesting. It kind of makes me feel like we're up against a combo deck, but I'm not too sure which one. This could also just be a Grixis deck, so I'm not sure if I want to just go. Hey Boyd, no, it's fine. We've you look good. You look good for looking your worst, so it's all good, man. So this is the interesting thing. I do have the option here. We're definitely playing a land. We've seen Preordain, which to me usually signifies some sort of combo deck, but this could just be some sort of Delver deck that also plays Preordain because it's a cheap cantrip. But the big question is, do I want a Green Suns here for Collector Oof or not? Because of course, Collector Oof is our best bear against any sort of unfair deck like Ant. So I'm not too sure about that. This is an interesting one. I think because our deck otherwise is actually pretty well suited for a Delver matchup, that I'm happy just to go for it and see if we can maybe just kind of steal this, if we can land a Collector Oof against Storm, because otherwise, you know, at least we have a beater against any other deck. And I definitely want to stop my opponent from winning turn 2 if they can, so... we'll see what happens here. Opponent is definitely having a big think, which is kind of nice. I assume that makes me think that they're on some sort of combo deck. And hopefully Collector Oof is relevant. But yeah, I think there's that's justified, that if you do think your opponent's on a combo deck, then I might as well try to shut that off, because my hand otherwise is pretty good against the Delver strategy. Even something as small as Mum and Bird is really nice, because then we have a blocker in the air that can get protection every turn. Duress. Okay. That definitely makes me think there's some sort of combo deck. So at least maybe next turn I can just play Scoos and hold up Mum, but if they have some sort of Burning Wish plan, then maybe playing the Mum is actually correct to try to get it online as soon as possible. Another Green Suns. I don't think there's anything that I want right now. I think I'd rather wait. we can definitely attack first. Play Mum, play Ooze. I think just swarming the board is probably my best bet. But I'd hate for something like Burning Wish into Massacre. That'd be pretty rough. We can actually play around that because we can Green Suns for Scrib Ranger next turn. And we can return the Savannah to our hand, which turns off a hard cast Burning Wish. Or a free Massacre, sorry. They played the LED out, so that's kind of scary. Maybe they have something like a main deck chain, or they just have another line. Maybe they're going to add Nors and just try to go off with other mana. This could also just be a Burning Wish. Cabal, one left. Infernal Tutor. Past in Flames? Can they just do this? Wow. Maybe the play was actually to just play the Skoos and hold up and not play the Mum, but that's pretty tough. This deck does still play Gaddock Teeg. I do have it in the sideboard, which I will be bringing it in here. But yeah, pretty tough. I mean, cool to see my opponent go off without actually needing their LEDs or Lotus Petals. But yeah, kind of rough because there always is a world where maybe I'll just play the Skoos and hold up Skoos, but I guess I just didn't think my opponent was going off that turn. Alright, I like taking out swords. I like taking out Ramanap, Questing Beast. I do like the Deafening Silences. I do like the Gaddock Teeg. Surgicals are interesting. I do like the Plague still because they aren't out to empty. I don't mind Kaya because it is just usually a lot of value. I still like the Mums. Mainly because they usually bring in a lot of targeted hate. Things like Chain of Vapor, Abrupt Decay, maybe even Fatal Push. So Mum does have a lot of work to do when trying to keep a Thalia in play or a Collector Oof, or even a Gaddock Teeg if we get it out. I can bring in 2 more cards. To me, it's kind of between Surgical. Choke's probably a little bit too slow. They definitely can go off without it. I don't mind Sylvan Library either because we can actually use our life total pretty aggressively, although we don't want to go too low, but having that extra sort of 3 on top to play around with, maybe to find something like Deafening Silence is definitely worth it. I think we might just go for Surgical. Yeah, everything else kind of has its place. Bojuka Bog's pretty interesting. Maybe that's okay, but I probably want to trim on a land, and it's probably going to be a Bayou. Could also just see myself dropping out on a forest. I don't mind that. I definitely want to be lower to the ground in games 2 and 3. I want to have more things to do in the first early turns. This is an interesting hand. We get to go turn 1 Green Suns for Dryad Arbor into turn 2 either Gaddock Teeg or Collector Oof, but if they do Juresis or Thoughtseize on the opening, then we do probably lose this, which is pretty rough. I kind of want a Deafening Silence. That's the real big card. I want a Deafening Silence and something like a Thalia which is, you know, 2 big cards against them, so a little bit hard to get in the opening, but I think it's doable. Well, there's Deafening Silence, Gaddock Teeg, so that's pretty much just as good. So this is pretty nice, because then even the Plague Engineer turns off their empty lines, so I'm going to keep this and bottom the Cradle. Opponent kept 7. Just gonna 6. Interesting. So obviously thinking we had Thalia in hand, they want to play around it by playing the Lotus Petal for free. Even though it takes the Storm off them, playing it for free is obviously what they want to do here. Just gonna fetch for a Savannah here and play Gaddock Teeg. Oh, sorry, a Scrubland. This fetch might mean they have something for the Deafening Silence. They're going to Brainstorm, okay. Interesting. Well, that means that the Deafening Silence and Gaddock Teeg are resolving, or playing into their turn, which is nice. Oh, I gotta update the score, my bad. Nice, there we go. So the nice thing is that we're building our pressure through 2 kind of different elements. One's a creature, one's an enchantment, which are, you know, definitely take 2 pieces of interaction to deal with. Preordain's okay. But yeah, unfortunately, Gaddock Teeg just isn't really what it used to be. Against a lot of decks, it was just really hard to get off the field. Decks like Ant that relied on things like Tendrils, Ad Nauseam, Empty in the main deck just didn't really have a great out to Teeg. But a lot of Legacy has changed, unfortunately. Wasteland's actually a really nice draw. I'm going to waste their open Underground Sea and then shift phase before they do anything. Oh, they do nothing. Okay, well, that's fine. I was going to see if they're going to, like, maybe bounce the Gaddock Teeg so we could actually just replay it, but looks like they didn't really care. Tutor's going to be interesting. Yeah, definitely. I think Gaddock Teeg has kind of moved down to like speed bump status rather than just stop sign for like an analogy, where it is still really annoying for a lot of decks that run a lot of 4 CMC and greater, you know, cards, but it doesn't necessarily, you know, cause lights out for your opponent, unfortunately. Opponent's getting another ritual, which is interesting. That makes me think that they do have an answer to at least the Deafening Silence. So another piece of interaction here would be great. Knight's not the worst because it does mean that we have a faster clock, and it also means Bojuka Bog's on the following turn. But yeah, even against like Miracles, it used to be great to be able to turn off Jace, Supreme Verdict, Terminus, and Force of Will in some regard. But now with things like Teferi, Oko, Dead of Winter, of course Swords to Plowshares is always a thing, but it just seems like some of the decks that Teague used to hose just don't really have it anymore. They just have a lot more outs to Teague. I still really like it against Mono Red Prison as well. Turning off Fiery Confluence, Chandra, Khan. A lot of really good cards, especially game 1. It can be a little bit harder to deal with, but there are some versions that are running bigger threats. Or things like Bone Crusher Giant, which can, I believe, deal with Gardock Teague. So this is interesting. I have a few options. The Knight can attack, and we can put them down to 4. We can also hold the Knight up because we have Bojuka Bog in the deck, so we do have some sort of graveyard interaction, which is nice. I think that's probably better. And then if they have nothing in their turn, we can just Wasteland instead in their end step. So definitely attacking with Teague. Could also use Knight to draw a card with a Nurturing Peatland, but I think that's a little bit risky. I'd probably rather just leave up the Knight. I think I'm okay with leaving the Engineer in hand. I guess it does. So the one thing that I don't like about playing Engineer is that we have no cards left, which just gives a lot of information to our opponent. Maybe the play was to play Engineer and hold up the Windswept Heath because it's just better as an unknown information than it is a land drop right now. But I think just because it does put lethal on board for next turn, that I'm okay casting this. And just naming Goblin. And we'll see if they have anything in their end step. They most likely do. I assume it's either a Chain of Vapor or a Braid. Maybe Echoing Truth. Echoing Truth. That's okay. To be fair, we also had lethal just by fetching a Dryad Arbor. Because then that's Chain of Vapor. Interesting. I feel like this is going to be fine. Yeah, we do. I don't want to return anything. Adnors, interesting. Probably don't want to do anything in response. Hitting Dark Petition's pretty bad. Maybe that's just enough? Yeah, I think as well I'm going to bog in response to the Dark Petition so they don't get the Spell Mastery. Because I believe I can still do it and then it checks on resolution. It's not just checking on cast. Hey, Solcino. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Well, it is Thursday, sadly, but looks like they're having a good think about what they could hit with 4 life and maybe still get there. I believe that's the same with Cabal Ritual. If they try to Cabal Ritual for 5 mana and I bog in response, they only end up with 3 because they won't have Threshold when it resolves. Or Thoughtseize. Interesting. Doesn't really do a whole lot. Other than, you know, take them off some cards that they can draw into. Hmm. I think they just have it anyway if they... Dark Petition now. Interesting. Yeah, I definitely want to take them off some amount of mana. I thought they might have tried to Thoughtseize us. Go to 7. Lion's Eye is 8. Dark Petition is 9. And then Tendrils is 10. We know about this. We know about this. Yeah, so unfortunately that stops them, which is great for us. We get a 3rd game, but pretty tight. Needed that Bojuka Bog, and obviously there it came up pretty well. Especially it's just unknown information. Just a little bit of hidden luck. I think I just run this back. I don't think there's anything that I switch out based on what I saw. Soul Guide is interesting, but from on the play... From on the draw, sorry. I think actually Decays aren't that great, to be fair. I think Decays are better off coming out and me just bringing in... I kind of like Force of Vigor because we did see our opponent putting out Petals early on to play around Thalia. And probably now again playing around Deafening Silence. So Force does seem pretty interesting. I don't mind Soul Guide. Exiling a tutor can be pretty big, and then just because it replaces itself as well, that can be pretty nice, especially in the late game, where I do tend to just kind of play out what I have and hope for the best. I think we have enough Graveyard Head. I'm going to try a choke. I'm going to try a choke on the draw. This hand is rough. It really depends on the Deafening Silence. And from there, it doesn't really have a plan. We have all our mana unlocked, which is really nice. But outside of that, we're not really creating a clock outside of like attacking with Mum for 3 each turn, which isn't that great. So we're going turn 1 Deafening Silence, turn 2 we can cast 1 Noble Hierarch and Mum. Yeah, I think I I really want to have at least 2 pieces of interaction, or at least a threat. If we just draw another land, this is a pretty dead hand. This is a great hand. I'm going to keep this. And so what am I doing? I'm going turn 1 Deafening Silence, turn 2 Collector Oof, turn 3 Plague Engineer. So I don't really have a situation where I can draw more cards with the library. Or play it. I'm not going to play this turn 2 over Collector Oof, and I'm probably not going to play it turn 3 over a Plague Engineer. And at least if we have to shuffle straight up unless we draw into a white card, so it's not like the Sylvan's going to be on the bottom forever. So I'm okay with this. Just hope our opponent doesn't turn 1 us. Dotsies. Okay. Probably taking this. Collector Oof could be annoying, but knowing about it is a lot worse. Could just draw into another one. That'll be good. By you. I think I'm happy to go Verdant Pass. And then I kind of want a Surgical Thoughtseize in their draw step, because I don't want to lose this Collector Oof. This hand is really dependent on the Collector Oof, so I'd rather see them draw a card, hopefully a Thoughtseize. And we get to play around Duress with Collector Oof, which is nice, so... I guess they could Brainstorm in response if they have that as well. Okay, they don't. Brainstorm, Infernal Tutor, Daze, Dark Petition. Daze, interesting. That's actually really good to know about. What else do they have? Perilous Voyage. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand if its converted mana was 2 or less. Scry 2. Instant. Why is this better than Echoing Truth? Is it a change up to play around something like Cabal Therapy? Yeah, I guess you get a Scry as well, which is kind of nice. And there's probably not too many cards you care about other than like maybe a ley line that is bigger than 2 CMC. But that's pretty interesting. We've got to snip this as well, because we lose the hand once we take away the last Thoughtseize. And interestingly enough, no Burning Wish, which is actually something to pick up on. So there's no Empty, which is actually pretty interesting. There's no way they can get Empty either. Huh. So they're going to Brainstorm first. And I guess that kind of just negates their whole hand. Because we don't know what it is now. I could end step get a Dryad Arbor and start beating with it to play around Daze, but then we turn off our only white source that we currently have access to. So I don't really want to do that. Also stops Meddling Mage. Yeah, that's very correct. Especially because Esper Vile's seeing a lot of play. I think one thing I could have done as well is that if I am fetching my end step for a white source, I should have just got a Scrubland and paid for the Surgical. Because when you're playing against Tendrils, there is a big difference between 18 and 19. Even though it's only that one extra storm, it does make your opponent have to get to that one extra storm. Hey Corey, I am running Green White Black Maverick. You should be able to see the Cardboard Live functionality on the screen. I'll see if I can pick it up. We're currently playing against Ant and Nauseum Tendrils. Yeah, so if you look over the screen, you can see the deck list here and pull it out and have a look at the cards that we have in our main deck and sideboard, which is very cool. All right. To be fair, if we draw a white source, then I do want to keep this Dried Arbor around. So we'll draw first and see what we draw into. Force of Vigor, okay. Well, that's interesting. Oh, you're on your phone? Ah, rough, okay. Interesting. Pretty much a green-white Maverick Shell with black cards for main deck. We have 2 Abrupt Decay, 2 Plague Engineer, and a... I always forget. Kaya Orzhov Usurper. And then in the sideboard, we have a Kaya and a Vraska as black cards. But other than that, just a pretty average green-white build. Bigger heads up play from my opponent would have been just pitching the days with the Brainstorm, because I think because I know about the days, I'm going to play around it, so it's probably not that great. But if I did have a turn 2 play and played it and they didn't daze it, they'd probably feel pretty bad if they didn't have the days. But pretty interesting thought there. Oh. Interesting. Maybe just going for an Adnors at 17 life. Dark Petition. 2 spells, I get 3. I assume they have this line figured out, so I think our only way to win is maybe get them somehow with a Force of Vigor where they play LED and then try to do something in response. Will they hold priority? They will. Getting past In Flames, I guess. I think, yeah, our only way out is our opponent accidentally tapping the wrong mana here and not floating a black for Dark Ritual. But yeah, unfortunately that's going to be game. Yeah, I think my thought process was maybe they just pump mana into Past In Flames and forget about not having the black around. But yeah, that's going to be enough. Rough. Maybe I was supposed to just jam that Collector Oof, even though I knew about the days, because obviously they didn't have it. Oh yeah, they discarded it. Okay. Rough. But yeah, pretty tough. Needed that that deafening silence for sure, especially on turn one. But Thoughtseize there was pretty nice for my opponent. Yeah, I guess in hindsight for sure, but live and die. This hand is fine. Doesn't do a whole lot until turn 3. This is much better. I'll keep this and bottom the Dryad. Mum into Thalia into Knight into Kaya is pretty nice. Yeah, it's very true. It does turn off Past in Flames very well. Maybe I just needed a bit more patience. It just changes so much as well, seeing their deck and seeing that they're actually not playing empty. Scalding Tarn, okay. Cool. Decay is interesting. I'm going to go for a Bayou into Savannah. There we go. Force pitching Snap. Interesting. Nothing. Well, I'll go with Thalia again. They forced it last turn, so I don't think they have the days, and I don't think they have the removal either, or else they'll let it resolve and then just remove it. Black. Okay. There are a few decks you can play to not play duels, but a lot of the time you will be hindering yourself a fair amount. Ugh. Him's really good. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think Hogak does play a few duels. You might be able to get there without them, but it would be pretty tough. Sylvan Library's a nice pickup. If this resolves, it allows us to recover from the Him and also the Mulligan. And it's going to resolve, which is nice because this deck, unless they have something like Brazen Borrower, they probably don't have a great out to Sylvan Library. I'm going to pay for the Mum. This will be a 4/4, so they can't snap bolt it, which is nice. And without a fetch land, they can't snap Fatal Push it. They can, it just won't do anything, unfortunately for them. Brazen Burrow, okay. Interesting to hit the Knight and the Sylvan Library and allow us to actually get some advantage of the Sylvan Library. They don't currently have a second blue source to actually cast it either. Alright. So we know about Sword on top. Hopefully we find another land. Okay. Well, that's pretty nice. Put on top. I'm going to pay for this. I'm going to play Wasteland. The issue with Wasteland is that it turns on Fatal Push. So they could go Snapcast to Fatal Push. So I might just Wasteland first. See if they float a color, and then we can change phase. See if they want to cast Snap and target something. Yeah, okay. There it is. Probably the Fatal Push. Yeah, I like Swords to Snap as well, because it keeps our life total a little bit at bay, so we can still use Sylvan Library a little bit. So I might just Swords here. They do have 2 cards left, so I don't think they're going to force it. But it just gives us a little bit more information about what they have. Okay. I'm actually not going to play the Mum or the Knight because of the Fatal Push. I think that's pretty easy for us to play around, especially with our opponent with no threats on board. So next turn we still get to go Mum and Knight, which is pretty fantastic. Ooh, another Wasteland, okay. I'm playing the Knight first because I kind of just want to close out this game before my opponent draws into more spells or more lands, but luckily there we got to take them off. You know, they got stuck on 3 for a while, and then we got to take them off blue, and then double source. Just pretty rough for my opponent. So this is an interesting one. I don't mind dropping out. I'm going to assume this is some sort of Grixis control list. So I don't mind bringing in this sort of removal instead of the Swords to Plowshares. I don't mind the chokes. I don't mind taking out Collect Oof. That's probably pretty poor in this matchup. And then I'm going to assume they run Plague Engineer. And because we're bringing in some non-creature spells, I don't mind dropping Thalia down to 2, especially on the draw. So I might just do that. That seems pretty good. Yeah, Pride Mage actually does seem pretty bad. Maybe it's just, maybe Knight's just a little bit better because it does have that a little bit more effectiveness, even as just a 4/3 beater. It can be pretty nice. It does make the curve a little bit higher, but I think that's okay, especially in this matchup where I'm going to grind it out pretty hard. So hopefully the Planeswalkers stick around because they're the cards that I really want. I don't mind this hand. The only issue is that Knight's a 2/2 right now. But a turn 1 Mum into a Script Ranger isn't the worst. Especially having extra activations of Script Ranger of Mum's pretty nice. Swamp Pass. Knight. Probably wanted to play the Savannah there just to make sure it's out of our hand for him to Turak, so him to Turak doesn't take our Savannah. That'd be pretty annoying. I think getting hit on mana early on and falling behind is probably our best chance of losing this game. That's kind of nice. Okay. See what the Ponder does, because if it's a shuffle, I probably want to Wasteland the Volk. I think the only thing that would change that is if I draw into either Thalia or Choke, because of course it is an island that we can hopefully tap down later on. I think here it might just be Savannah Pass. Because of the knights, I really want to start getting them out pretty early. The one reason I might want to take them off the Volk is that they can't cast a 3-drop like Plague Engineer or Liliana. Strix is going to be fine. But I am going to Scrib Ranger in response to the draw, just in case they draw into the blue card or force that they need to actually counter the Scrib Ranger. This is the new art as well. Kind of cool. I think the original Baleful Strix artwork is just really iconic, so I don't think there was any need for change, but hey, I'm not an artist. I know what's up. Oh, Kai is pretty sweet. We don't have black mana at the ready, but I could have attacked with the Scrib Ranger. That's definitely incorrect not to. Because I can just untap it at instant speed. And just because of the Scrib Ranger being out, I probably don't want to sack the Savannah. There's Plague. I'm going to give this pro black until end of turn. Just in case they have Fatal Push. I could do it again if I wish as well, but I think that's fine. I'd rather have the Savannah in play. Hopefully this isn't Bolt. Green Suns. So Wasteland isn't doing too much for us other than holding up Green Suns, so I don't mind just using it here to keep them off as much mana as possible. Yeah, I can't unfortunately take them off Snap Bolt because they still have 3 mana. But I can take them off, you know, like Ponder into Snap Bolt or Brainstorm into it. I guess I can't stop that either because they could just have another land as well. Ponder chose not to shuffle, which is a little bit scary. I guess this does take them off Snap Bolt because they can't have another... They can't have blue and red with just 2 black up. Huh. They're going to attack here. So I'm going to untap this, return the Savannah. Maybe I don't because of the Fatal... Yeah. I was going to say I probably don't want to block the Baleful Strix because they can just Fatal Push the Knight then. But they're going to use it on the Scrib Ranger, which is actually okay with me. Birds. Birds is actually pretty free. Because now the Cradle taps for 2. They're going to force this one, it looks like. It's force pitching Narset. Okay. Well then, I am going to start going after their mana. Because it does seem a little bit shady right now. This does turn on a Revolt for Fatal Push, but I think because they've already used one, they probably don't have another. This is fine. I wonder if I just go for Questing Beast here. Kaya doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, I think Questing Beast is pretty sweet. Let's go for a Bayou. 1, 2, 3. Beast. Hey Lynn, welcome. Currently up a game against Grixis, which is nice. Plague Engineer is going to be a little bit of an issue, but hopefully not too bad. Yeah, Kai eating snap targets as well is really nice. So hopefully we can get Kai down next turn and just eat the Fatal Push and the Bolt. But I'm not sure if I'm open to trading the Plague Engineer with the Questing Beast. We do still have a bit of removal, and they're actually going to attack. Interesting. That kind of makes me feel like they have something like a Toxic Deluge. No, okay. Well, I can definitely grow the Knight. That's kind of free. And we still have a second Bayou in the list. Of course, the Plague Engineer can't block the Questing Beast. That's very correct. Oh, they're going to force this. Well, that's a pretty massive reason to actually just go for Bayou here. Sack this. I'm going to go for a Windswept Heath into Scrubland to turn off any sort of like Toxic Deluge abilities. Cast our second Kaya. Okay. We'll tick up and we'll exile Bolt and Fatal Push. Go to combat and we'll swing with Questing Beast. Alright, it's a race. There's always one part of Questing Beast that I just forget. I can't hold the whole card in my head, unfortunately. This is gonna be fine. Hey Timmy, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Currently looking pretty good. Oof, okay. Well, I think that's gonna be game. Black. Play Vraska. Take care of the Baleful Strix and swing for lethal. Yeah, nice. Okay. All right. I have a giveaway to do to my local fans from Brisbane. I have a Brawl deck, Chillane, I believe it's called, from MTG Mate as a giveaway. So a huge thank you to them. MTG Mate is an Australian online retailer. They sell MTG singles primarily. You can find them at mtgmate.com.au. You can use code DUGS for 5% off singles. But I had a giveaway on our local Facebook group. I'm going to quickly find... I have a name picker, which you can just add in the people that have actually gone into it, and then we can just start to get a random name, which is cool. So I think this is all good. There's 14 of you, so good luck. We'll see who this winner is, but a pretty sweet deck. I actually have one myself as well. The winner's Trent, so congratulations to Trent. I'll send this out to you. I do have postage as well, so hopefully get this out to you tomorrow, which will be really nice. But that's pretty cool. So a huge thank you to Nick and the team at MTG Mate. Pretty cool deck. There's a lot in here, which is nice. This is the list that I ran last night. I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom, but I'll be back in 1 second, and hopefully we can... it's going to load MTGO again. Apologies. Yeah, keep winning with this deck. Would be really nice. Alright, I will see you in a second. Nice. Mainstream. Let's go. Yeah, this list has been pretty kind to me. Pretty nice against the mid-range decks. The Planeswalkers definitely help. I'm not currently a massive fan of Stoneforge Mystic, but I do like the people are still trying it out, which is very cool. I think it does have a home somewhere, and probably in like a version of Maverick that someone plays. I know that F. Paul's played Stoneforge this morning. He did really well with it. Just Jide and Batterskull. Maybe sort of Fire and Ice, but I think it was just Jide and Batterskull, but it looked pretty sweet. Update that score. Nice. Wrecked. Hey Shaq, welcome. Not too bad. Not too bad. How are you doing? Pretty stuffed actually. Long day of work, but now I get to chill, stream, play some Maverick, play some Legacy. Can't go wrong. Hmm. All right, here we go. Gotta get in. There we go. Okay. Been on the play twice, which is really nice. Up against Deathrite. Ouch. This is fine. Turn 1 Mum, turn 2 Scrib, turn 3 Kaya. I'll keep this. A little bit of everything. Delta. Sneaky. Stitches. I thought this might be Hogak. I don't know why, but I just thought there was a little inkling here. Cabal Therapy. Interesting. Okay. Knight. Alright. This is always a pretty fun matchup. Game 1 can get out of hand pretty fast, unfortunately. I'm going to get a Savannah. So I can return this Savannah if I need with Scrib Ranger. I can't do that with Scrubland. The one reason that I really dislike playing against Hogak is that it goes wide really quickly. And Maverick sometimes has a pretty hard handling of that. We do have Plague Engineer, which can be really nice, but sometimes it's just not enough. And they do have just like the straight away kind of win with enough zombies from Altar and also playing Hogak, so that'll be pretty rough. What do we got? What's the name? Swords to Plowshares, Green Sun Zenith. Swords to Plowshares, okay. So thank you for not watching the stream. That's number 1. But Swords is a pretty good name. I think if I did have Swords in hand, I'd probably Swords the Stitches straight away. Especially seeing the Cabal Therapy. Stitcher is just so good. I was thinking someone who was not watching. That is actually kind of weird. Unless they watch the channel later on. So, Deathrite, good luck. Hopefully this is a nice, grindy game. Alright, so now it's pretty much just untap, play Forest and Scrib Ranger. Thalia. Thalia is interesting. Thalia makes things a little bit interesting. Oh, okay. I think we have a plan. I think Thalia is a little bit better here than Scrib Ranger because she actually can affect the board, keeping things like an Altar off the table unless they have another land. And then we can just play Cradle and play the Kaya. So this turn we want to play the Cradle probably. We could also fetch and get the we could also fetch and get Bayou this turn, but I think the 1 life might be relevant just to hold that for now. And also could just be a Dried Arbor late game, which could actually help us a lot. So I'm just going to go for Cradle first. Does the same thing. Allows us to play Thalia this turn and Kaya next turn, so... I don't believe my opponent does not play Falls of Will, so that's a nice little check that don't have to be done with. MTG bot overlay. Interesting. I have not. Oh wow, that's sick. I will definitely be using that, Dan. That's really cool. Thank you very much for showing that to me. Yeah, that's really cool. Just so everyone can see it. It's like a little overlay that loads with a brainstorm, which is kind of cool. And then it shows my username, the score, and what like my title is, which is pretty sweet. That's yeah, I'll have to implement that pretty soon. Oh, so this is pretty perfect because now we get to untap, play Kaya, and exile the Stitches Supplier, which doesn't actually trigger it because it's when it die effect. Well, Plague's actually pretty good as well, but I don't want them to get cards in the graveyard, so I'm just going to go for Kaya here. Going to get a Scrubland, so we have 2 white. Black, white, Kaya. Exile this. I guess the only card that I'm so I don't want to attack here because they could just have a hard cast Vengevine next turn to actually deal with the Kaya by attacking with both Vengevine and Gravecrawler. And then it's going to concede to Kaya. Interesting. Oh, Dan, you legend. I'm going to copy those right now and actually just save them somewhere. In here. There we go. OBS overlay. Okay. Bog seems great. Surgical seems great. Soul Guide Lantern seems great. Kaya seems great. I don't mind Night of Autumn as just another way to kill Altar. I don't mind taking out the Thalias. A little bit too slow. Decay is interesting. A lot of the stuff that I'm decaying, I'm losing a lot of value on. I don't want to decay a lot of their stuff because they either get it back from the graveyard or get value off it. But I think just because it deals with Altar, I probably want to keep some number in. I don't mind Questing Beast because it is a good attacker, but I don't think I need it in this matchup. I think Knights are just so good, especially with Bojuka Bog in the deck. Collector Oof does turn off Altar, but I think there's probably better things to do. I also think there's not really one target for Green Suns that I'm really wanting to get, so I might even just happily drop a Green Sun Zenith. This seems pretty good. Force of Vigor is always interesting, but I think we'll see how we go with this, and then if there's a game 3, we can tidy up our main deck. Sorry for eating on stream. This sounds interesting. I don't mind it. It's a turn 2 Knight, which is a turn 3 Bog. I think it's just a little bit too good to keep. The only thing it doesn't have is just straight interaction like Swords to Plowshares, Abrupt Decay, Surgical. But I think it's okay. Plague Engineer on Zombie seems pretty good. Bloodstain Might Pass is probably like the greatest start that we could ask for. Another Noble. Just gonna get a Savannah and play Noble. Could get a Bayou, but I think just because we have this Verdant already, I'm pretty happy to go Savannah. Hogak's sick. Hogak's a very cool deck. It's a deck that has a lot of lines. I think I'd probably be happy to play it in paper than online, but just because you get to use a graveyard as a resource, you have so many things like Cabal Therapy is a very like skill-intensive card. Hedron Crab is a bit of an issue because that card can get out of hand. Luckily, they didn't have another fetch land, and they hit a Cabal Therapy. It'll be interesting to see if they have a creature that they can Cabal Therapy and hit something. Probably flashing back for Knight here. They could do another Swords to Plowshares target, but we'll see what happens. Okay. It is probably not the Reliquary, seeing we got the turn 1 Noble, but it could, yeah, Swords as well is a great name. But I think now that we get to get down the Knight, outside of them having Abrupt Decay or Assassin's Trophy, we're looking pretty good. And then the following turn we can play the Nobles and Scrib Ranger and play that sort of shenanigans out. Wasteland's interesting. I guess Scrib Ranger's free. 1, 2... No, it's not, because our land for turn would be the Savannah. Because we get to play Scrib Ranger, untap Noble, return the Savannah, play Savannah for turn. We have 2 mana, so we can do that next turn and get a free 3-drop. So here I might actually just go for... Wasteland into Knight. I don't think Knight being a 3-3 is any different to a 4-4 against this deck. But maybe... I guess I'm not... Yeah, I'm not that... I'm happy to show them Wasteland with 2 jewels already out. If they were on basics or they had fetch lands, I probably wouldn't show the Wasteland to see if they would actually go for jewels, but I think this is fine. They didn't have a fetch last turn to play for the Hedron Crab, so if they play a fetch here, they definitely have it off the draw. Two black. Altar. Okay. That's pretty good. Oh, and just allowing us to... Okay. Huh. Well, now we get free Scrib Ranger abilities. Scrib. Untap return. Play Savannah. Play Noble. Play Mum. And I think here, because they missed a land drop, I'm happy just to go for double Wasteland here. It does turn off the Scrib Ranger, but I think leaving them with no lands out is pretty huge. Yeah, they're just going to concede. Pretty rough, but I mean, like, really nice aggressive line from us. And luckily our opponent just, you know, missed 2 land drops. We saw the opportunity and had 2 wastelands, so a little bit of luck as well. But I think those are the types of turns where you need to strike, because Altar just gets out of hand so fast, and we don't currently have a great way without a forest to untap the Knight, and then of course we don't even have a second forest to sack to it, or plains. So we couldn't even bog on their turn. So if they do go off with Altar, it's very hard to stop. Because once they start getting enough zombies to bring back Hogak, and then just sack that for 2 more zombies, bring back Hogak, zombie, they get so many zombies that it's tough. It's tough to deal with. So luckily get the win. Score update. We are currently 2-1. Pretty nice. Let's go for game 4. Quick bite. I apologize. There we go. But yeah, last night played Paper Magic for the first time in a long time. I did do a stream with the Legacy Pit, which is very cool. Playing against them over webcam Legacy. But being able to play like actual Paper Magic for the first time in a long time, not over webcam, was very nice. Really nice to get back. Obviously, Australia's in a pretty good way. New Zealand's probably in the best, but I know a lot of you who chime in are also from America, which is obviously still going through it. So hope you're all safe and doing well. Nothing from Ikoria yet. There weren't too many cards that came out and really stuck to me. I believe if you want, Yeah, we did a set review of Ikoria on the Green Sun Zenith, where we talked about a few cards, which you can find in chat. So New Vivian was mentioned. There was also Call of the Death Dweller, two cards that haven't seen too much play, if any. Myth of Nethryor. I wish I could say that correctly. I can't. I apologize. Draenith Magistrate, which we won't talk about. Lavabrink Venturer was kind of cool and interesting. Fiend Artisan, I think, has the most amount of playability. It just hasn't seen play yet, but I think it will, and I think it will see play in a really cool deck. Yeah, Fiend Artisan, I haven't had time to kind of brew with it, but I think it is a very cool deck, a very cool card to brew with, and obviously a card that can get bigger. So for those of you that aren't aware of Fiend Artisan, this is it. So it gets +1/+1 for each creature in your yard. And then for X and a black or a green, you can sack another creature, search your library for a creature card with convert mana cost X or less, and then put it onto the battlefield. And you can activate it anytime as a sorcery. So it could just be a massive creature against a deck that can't deal with your graveyard, especially in game 1 where a lot of decks don't have that. It can just be, you know, a 6/6 or even bigger. But the recruit ability is something that looks really cool. I'd like to try it in a list with things like Renegade Rallia, where you're getting a little bit more value off the creatures that you actually play. You're not just down a card for a card. You want to have some sort of play around it. This is a tough one. We can Green Sun straight away for Dryad Arbor, which is nice, but we don't have white mana currently. We can access that through the second Green Suns if we get Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise, but that means the first few turns we're just building out our mana, which isn't the worst, but there are some decks that really punish that. But if I had this hand in an FNM, I would probably keep this. If I had this hand in a tournament, it's different. I think the chances of us drawing into one of our fetches is pretty huge. We're playing 4 of each, and then we also have an abundance of, you know, jewels and... Well, not an abundance, but we have... I'm going to keep this. I'm going to see how this works out. I'm not too sure what my opponent is on, but hopefully it's a slower deck. Definitely going for Dryad Arbor straight up, because that just allows us to build out so quickly. Snow-Covered Island Ponder is actually quite nice for us. This might mean they're playing Astrolabe, which Collector Oof is quite nice against. What did the opponent do? They chose not to shuffle. Okay. So it looks like whatever they were trying to find in the blind, they found. Most likely land. Always lucky. Always lucky. Let's get this mana going. This could also represent elves, which is kind of nice. I don't think any plays from here on out are going to represent elves, but it's kind of nice that against some of the faster decks you can act like you're something else. Volk is interesting. I kind of want to hit it. The only big blowout that I can think of is that we wasteland it, and then they bolt the Arbor. In response, we play Scribberanger, and then they daze the Volk back to the hand. But that would mean that they're playing Snow-Covered Islands just to show off that they might be playing Snow-Covered centric cards, which they wouldn't be. But I think Wasteland early on against the blue deck is really nice, so I'm going to try that out. And just hope what I said does not happen. Predict. Okay. They know it from Ponder. Although there is an argument as well that playing Thalia also taxes them a mana, so it's kind of like wastelanding them for a turn. But I still think this is okay. And I'm just going to pass. I could play the Collector Oof out, which is interesting. And if I'm already taking them off the red mana, I might as well. I don't mind this. Street Wraith. Interesting. Ah, okay. This might be Doomsday. If they're playing Predict and Street Wraith, that makes a lot of sense, which the Collector Oof is actually pretty nice against. So hopefully it's not like a black card. Okay, just a blue. Nice. Preordain, okay. Well, the Thalia is definitely coming down next turn. I guess the Scrib Ranger is free as well. Because we can go... I'll play the Karakas just in case. Scrib Ranger. Untap this, return this. Play Thalia. Attack. Ponder's okay. 2, 4, 6. So currently attacking for 6, which is a 3-turn clock. Which isn't the worst. The Green Suns isn't doing too much with this Thalia out, and us currently low on lands. Not the land doesn't do too much either. 2, 3, 4. I think I'm happy just pressuring. And then maybe next turn, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can go for a Knight. Just to try to get that extra turn off, but it's going to be tough. Ah, interesting. Okay. I did not see that. That's pretty classic. Preordain first. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be pretty tough. So they can win on their own turn, but it is pretty... Baleful Strix. Okay. That's not too bad because we can still go for Qasali Primage. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Which puts them down to 5. Qasali's probably the best card. There's nothing else that really matters. To be fair, do I really care about them? I guess they could trade with the Collector Oof. So if we attack for 1, 2, 3, 4. They probably block the Dryad Arbor. Take 3 and go down to 7. And then we get to play the Knight. Otherwise... I get to go for... I can attack for 5 this turn to Green Suns for Qasali Primage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we get 2 off the Dryad Arbor. This is interesting. I think I like holding up the Green Suns for now. And if they block the Dryad Arbor, I probably just want to return it to my hand. Actually, no, I don't. I want them to trade with it. Interesting, they're going to block the Thalia. Okay. This will be pretty tough for them. They do have 8 cards, but I think it's definitely working against them. Collector Oof and Thalia are just so good here. Yeah, luckily. Really nice to take the game 1 because Sideboarder definitely gets a lot better. Just still really tough. Doomsday. I definitely like the Deafening Silences. I do like taking out the 4 swords. I don't mind a K if they go on a Teferi route. Engineers can most likely come out. I don't think naming bird is a big issue. I can probably just attack through it most of the time. Kai is pretty interesting. Choke's interesting as well, but usually my opponent's just going to try to Dark Ritual into Doomsday as soon as possible and win from there. It's interesting though that Kaya is actually kind of a win con on her own because all the cards from Doomsday get exiled, which is pretty funny. Hey, your health matters. Welcome. Thank you. Hope you're well. I'm going to play a little bit of Spice. I'm going to go for Choke and Kaya. I don't think Surgical's where I want to be. I don't think Soul Guide is there either. I'm going to see how this goes. This could be really good or really poor. But if we have like turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Choke, this is pretty good. I'm going to keep this with Deafening Silence for sure. Deafening Silence into Sylvan Library is pretty good. Close this. I'm also going to finish this. Interesting. Gonna go for a Savannah and play this Deafening Silence. Hey, that's cool. What sort of menace creatures do you play in Pioneer? And I assume it's like a blue-red deck? Force, okay. Does make this hand a little bit weaker. Crater Maker, interesting. Can't hit Library, which is nice. Thalia is interesting. Even though they have Crater Maker, we're not really drawing into Swords to Plowshares because it's out. I think I'm happy just going with Thalia here. And if they want to spend a mana to deal with it, they can spend a mana to deal with it. It's going to tax them the 1 anyway, which is nice. This looks like a Doomsday. Okay. Half-Life rounded up. Get an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's cool. That's probably the deck that I would like to play in Pioneer. Some sort of fast aggressive deck. Now this is gonna be tough. We can play out Knight and try to go from there. I don't think Sylvan Library does it. I think we have to try to just draw into lethal with Knight. So we can play Knight as a 4/4. Noble makes it a 5/5. We could Wasteland ourselves, but that's pretty rough. Maybe, just maybe, there's some sort of line that I'm missing that Knight just gets us there. Because I don't think Sylvan Library... I don't think we have the turn to actually get anything with Sylvan. And they're most likely just win here with draw effects. Especially if they're going down to 6. Sadly, I don't think we had the time for Library to dig. Because here they just get to Oracle and yeah... win. I mean, if we... yeah. The Wasteland was what I wanted because that puts us to 7, which is quite nice, which turns off Street Wraith, but we needed that extra turn, which of course we just couldn't get. I think I'm just gonna run back the same list. There's nothing here that I'd really change. Double Wasteland hand is pretty rough. We'll mulligan this. This is okay. Turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Thalia with Mum. I'm just going to bottom the Bayou because I can find it with either fetch land. Yeah, Library to dig would have been nice. Alright, what does Ponder do? Draws a card, okay. Force Pitch Predict. Brainstorm straight away is always kind of scary. Hopefully it's just because they have a fetch land, but sometimes against combo it's just because they're 1 or 2 cards off, usually 1. No fetch, okay. It's going to attack with Mum here for 3. Backup Thalia is really nice. I mean, I'd hate to see something... I don't think they play Plague Engineer. And I don't think that's something I have to play around, but... This Wasteland's also nice because if they wanted to fetch here, they kind of have to get a basic. Yeah. Yeah, I think the 3 life is better than just holding it up for Thalia, but it could be wrong. Hmm. All right. Can't do much else. Yeah, so they go down to 8. We swing for 4. So they need to win on the next turn or have a creature. I mean, Choke off the top would be like phenomenal. I think Choke's the only card we can really draw. I guess Deafening Silence is also a card. Collector Oof might do it. I probably should have wastelanded in response because I believe there's a cycling card where you can just sack a land instead. Which would be pretty tough. It's not what I want to see. Martin. Is Martin this player? I'm pretty bad with MTGO names and knowing who they actually are in real life. But the player does love Doomsday. I'll give them that. I'm going to keep this up just in case I need it. I don't think I do. There's no real drops that I need. Whoa, not good enough. I mean, we can play it, but don't think it's going to do anything here, unfortunately. It just means if they have one blocker, we can still swing for lethal with both Knight, Mum, and Thalia. But unfortunately, this looks to be it. Oh, very cool. But yeah, just a hard deck to interact with for Maverick. Not too much we can do. But you can definitely see that from the results. Going down to Ant and Doomsday. Maybe us needs some more interaction for these combo decks. It's just rough because usually we're bringing in permanent based interaction, and they're bringing in permanent based removal. Needed Exalted, yeah, that would have been sweet. A lot of good draws, but just couldn't find anything. Choke would have been fantastic as well. Deafening Silence, of course. Easy money marks. Yeah, that would be pretty fun. This is okay. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to go for a Savannah into Dryad. That means if Dryad doesn't resolve, we can still cast Mum next turn. I don't really care about the decay right now. Opponent on 6 as well. This is a graveyard deck. We also have Scooz next turn with green mana open, which is kind of nice. Just a pass with polluted delta. Huh. Thalia is nice, but unfortunately we can't do 2 spells here. I think it's just the Knight. Allows us to do the most with our mana. Still a 3/3 as well, so hopefully we're not against a Lightning Bolt deck, because we could pretty easily play around that by just playing different spells out this turn. But if this is a combo deck, then we definitely get hit pretty hard by not playing out the Thalia first. Wasteland Volk, interesting. This makes me think they have the Bolt. Oh, they're going to Wasteland that first. Interesting. Huh. They're going to Wasteland me. Interesting. Verdant. I wonder if they have Stifle. And if they have Stifle, I'd probably rather they hit the Wasteland than the Verdant. No, I like them hitting the Verdant, because we can still cast Thalia. So let's get Scrubland. They could Daze, but I think that's okay if they want to save their Volcanic. If they have Spell Snare, then it's really rough, but I think this is fine. Vapor Snag this. Okay. I think extra Wastelands from our opponent is where we lose this, but Delver's okay. Beast. I'm actually going to swing with both here, because the trade for the Delver is fine. Looks like they have Dismember in hand. They tried to pay life there. That's fine. Probably a little bit aggressive attacking with the Dryad Arbor there, but unless we draw into lands, we're not removing the interesting. If our opponent's on Hooting Mandrills and it's pretty rough, I don't mind it. I just want to keep being aggressive. I could keep it for a Volk, but I'd rather just keep my opponent off as many lands as possible. It's just Hooting Mandrills that really hits me hard. Goyf is fine. Green Source Scoos. Sylvan Library. Four cards left. Pretty happy to block. Pro green. I don't believe they have Lightning Bolt. And another Goyf is pretty good. I guess we weren't casting anything anyway, which is pretty rough. I guess if they play Stifle, Stifle could also be a card that I have to play around, but I don't think I have that luxury right now. Rough. Beast and 2 3-drops. Probably actually pretty close to just blocking with Thalia here to lose her. I do like Knight. I do like Knight. I don't like the 4th Knight, but we'll see what happens here. Fetching's kind of scary. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. It is the 4th Knight. It is the 4th Knight. Aurum! Ah, rough. We're definitely not getting out of that. We're definitely not getting out of that. So this is going to be interesting. I do like the chokes in this matchup. Kai is interesting. I don't mind her with Delver and also Oko in the deck. I don't mind the Bog. But I think maybe the Soul Guides. No, yeah, the Bog's pretty good. Kusali can come out. Collector Oof can come out. Beast can most likely come out. Goyfs are usually just bigger, unfortunately. And I think I might even take out a Sylvan Library. Everything else kind of has its place, which is nice. That's fine. That is Magic sometimes. This is okay. I'm gonna have this last biscuit and then I'm never gonna eat on stream again. Alright. This is a pretty good keep. I wonder if they bring in Clots against us. They probably do. Clot seems pretty good. Oh, we're currently 2-2, aren't we? Rough. Just a pass. Plains is pretty nice. Hey, Coolx, thanks for the Twitch Prime sub. That's very cool. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? A sub is very welcome, so a huge thank you. I do sometimes fetch for basics, but I feel like because of our current board state, we can just allow them to wasteland us. We're not going to fall behind, which is nice. So I think it's okay if they're wastelanding us, and we can still go for basics if we wish, which is kind of cool. Especially on the play. If I was on the draw, I think it'd be a different situation. That's an interesting deck you have there. Goyf. Okay. Goyf's not too bad because we have this the 2 swords. Decay is really nice. And Thalia. Okay. I'm just gonna pay, I think, for everything here. I'm gonna go for swords first. I could Thalia first so they can't force it, but I think I'm happy with them forcing it. Ooh, who plays Maverick? Alright, here's Thalia. Swing. You live in DC? Very cool. Hope you're doing okay. I know the US is going through some pretty tough times. What's DC like for Legacy? Do you guys have a pretty good setup? Hopefully a few people who play on a weekly basis. Oh, Kai is pretty cool. Put on top. Put on top. I don't want to get too low here. I'm going to go for the old fetch first. Get a scrubland. I'm going to attack first. See if they destroy Thalia or not. I think there's a green-white Eldrazi deck out there somewhere that also plays another Reliquary, but it would be very greedy, because you're probably playing 4 Eldrazi Temple at least, and that doesn't play the best with Knight. Interesting. Just gonna exile these bad boys. Probably gonna bolt the Thalia and end step. Interesting. Maybe just go after our life total. That's kind of scary, to be fair. I mean, if they have bolt, then Brazen Borrower just does it. But I don't feel like I was too aggressive with the library. If they have double bolt and Brazen Borrower, then they have double bolt and Brazen Borrower. Volk double bolt? Orim, don't say it. But, you know, maybe I was too aggressive with Sylvan Library. If I was paying extra for cards that I didn't actually need because I couldn't cast them that turn, maybe I didn't have to pay. Maybe because they're such good answers. Yeah, they're just attacking me. That's kind of scary. Wasteland my Black Source, okay. Goif's pretty good. Oh, Wasteland. That's actually pretty big. I don't mind that. Wasteland, Scrib. Yeah, okay. I can't use Abrupt Decay because I don't have black mana. But we can take care of this Volk. If they want to float mana, they can float mana, but it doesn't do anything. Alright. I can make this Goyf smaller as well. I do like Zenith the Ranger. Yeah, Kaya Orzhov Usurper. Yeah, I'm okay with this. So we get a turn. If we can ulti Kai, that would be pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Ponder's going to be fine. And the Goyf attacking isn't the worst. I just thought because they're most likely able to put at least a Ponder or a Brainstorm in the yard that it's going to be a 2-3 anyway. Or a 3-4 now. Bolt doesn't kill now, which is nice because we can block with the Thalia. I can also just untap the Noble Hierarch if I wish. And block with the Hierarch. What are they attacking? Me, yeah. I can shrink the Goyf, which is really nice. I can also tick it up, which is interesting. But I think ulti is just the best. I'm going to cast Mum first. Yeah, I'm going to exile my Noble and my Swords. This puts me up to 8, which is pretty nice. If my opponent wants to fetch now, we can then Swords around our... This is fine. Wasteland's okay. A Braid on this. Interesting. That means I want to Swords the Brazen Burrower. Looks like they have Days. Rough. Could have played around that at least. I guess here I kind of have to untap the Thalia. Just to keep the Kyra around for now. But at least we keep the Mum, which is nice. So I wonder if they do both at Kaya. Yeah. Now we're in a bit of trouble because we know top 2 lands, and then there's Bojuka Bog. Well, Bog's actually interesting, but now we're in a pretty bad spot. Because I assume they wasteland away the Bojuka Bog, which does take us off black. The issue is that we had a great hand of removal, but we had no pressure. So our opponent just got to draw into multiple threats that could answer our removal and the counter magic as well to deal with it. Library's pretty good, especially at 13 life. Force. I guess I want to leave a creature around unless we draw into in case we draw into Skoos. But the extra 2 life can be pretty relevant for the Sylvan Library, so might just be these two. I think just because black indicates so much removal that it's definitely worth taking me off it. Because it keeps me off the whole color, which is pretty good. Hitting the Savannah doesn't do too much because we already have the plains and forest. Interesting to not even like allow us to use the Mum. Not even attacking with the Goyf, which I thought they would definitely attack with the Goyf. There's no reason not to. It's not like the block's gonna do anything. I'm gonna pay for this to be able to play around days. Another force. Rough. Alright. Going down to 3, okay. Definitely blocking. Looks like Hooting Mandrills. Yep. I think this is just too much. Because we can decay the Brazen Borrower and block the Goyf, but then we go down to 4 anyway. Rough. Yeah. Just, yeah, not enough pressure early on. A great hand for removal, but otherwise just nothing to actually attack with and start closing out the game. And maybe just a little bit too defensive as well, like holding up that Scrib Ranger for too long and not actually just swordsing the Brazen Borrower was probably an issue. But that is life. Rug can be pretty rough. I mean, they do everything really well. The Delver starts are really good. The Sylvan Libraries when we haven't actually dealt any damage is really good as well, because they can take advantage of it. It's not like we're gonna be, they can take 8 life. We don't have anything on in play to actually send damage through, which is tough. But that is Magic. So 2-3 overall, which isn't that great, but Doomsday and Ant are probably 2 matchups that I really want to work on, because I don't have great answers. I have a lot of permanent based answers, and a lot of their answers are going to be permanent based removal, so that's pretty rough. I still like the build a lot. I think Kaya is really nice, and even though it didn't do a whole lot there, I think it's really good in the overall metagame, taking care of things like Astrolabe, Food, Aethervial, Mother of Runes, Delver, Noble Hierarchs. There's a lot of targets for Kaya, which is nice, and the Exile ability is really nice as well. I'm not too sure what I would add in to play up against Mirror, up against some of the Storm decks. Some players have been mentioning Stiflebird, I forget its name, against Doomsday, which is pretty funny. But I think you just have to take it on the chin and, try to win the games that you can. But, it's not going to be a great matchup, so you just have to kind of just roll with it, which is rough. Yeah, the format is really diverse. I mean, we played against 5 different decks, which is pretty sweet. Which is always pretty nice. I think the 2 cards that I'd change up in the sideboard are probably Teague and Knight of Autumn. I think with the Force of Vigors, we don't really need the Knight of Autumn anymore. And the Gaddock Teague just isn't obviously where it used to be. I have been playing Thoughtseize in paper, which has been pretty nice, especially with Surgical against some decks. And just having, knowing what's coming is pretty good as well. But I'm not too sure how good it is online. But that is me. A huge thank you to you guys for coming in. A huge thank you to the new subs, the new follows. Means a hell of a lot. You can find this on YouTube. I'll upload it shortly at YouTube/Dukes on Twitch. You can find me at Twitch/TV, of course, /Dukes on Twitch. But on Sunday, I have a donation deck list coming, which is very cool. It's a Legacy Zoo list, which has actually done pretty well recently. Looking at its how it's done in the past. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. It 5-0'd a league last week. It 5-1'd a challenge, and it top 8'd a KMC event, which is very cool. So I'm going to be playing that on Sunday. If you can't catch it live, that is fine. I'll be on from 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it'll be on my YouTube. We'll see you there. I'll find who else is playing Legacy and see if I can actually raid their channel. Something. Interesting. Riley's playing, which is interesting. I think he's playing MTGA, but might as well. There is no one else on, so this is going to be fine. A huge thank you again. We'll be back. Obviously tonight wasn't the result we wanted. Maybe it was the result we deserved for some of our plays, but definitely back and fighting hard next week. We'll see you then. Thanks.